Hold on, before I run in this Starbucks, I think I'm gonna sit right there under that umbrella at the table, down here in Waldorf while I'm waiting. I think I'm gonna go. I might drink my coffee right there. But oh, somebody get Larry Hogan down here real quick. Where's Larry Hogan? Sir, what you came out and said, you ain't need to come out and say nothing. Why do people come out and talk when they don't have to say nothing? The problem with this whole area, DC, Maryland, and Virginia, we need some balance. We need some balance of policies and mindset. If we don't get the balance, we already seeing, well, a lot of people don't see it because they don't watch nothing. But play to your ear so it can feel good news, right? So, as you become a more handicapped, when you have more dependents than you have income, and you're not attracting income. Remember a couple of months ago I told you the Maryland ranked in the worst possible rankings as far as development, economic development, right? So that means that the policies are not drawing in businesses. They're actually crushing business. People need to understand, when you start, instead of just thinking about what you can give people, in order to give people something, you have to have money circulating and generating. You have to have conditions favorable to, okay, I can make some money, and then with my disposable income. You want people to have disposable income so they can dispose of it where you need it to help people that need it. But we've created a situation where people that not just don't need it, won't work, won't anything to be independent, because they know if they pop out enough babies or get enough disease. Did y'all know, and I found this out last week and I thought it was very disgusting, just a sign of how demonic the times are. People go around and have parties, and I'm not even going to tell you the term that they actually use. It was disgusting when I looked it up. I was like, what? Having parties to get HIV. Because HIV is listed as a disability and you can get a check for it. This is the government. The government, the only thing government's supposed to do is to ensure that all of its citizens are protected to the best of its ability. The roads, the mutual, the infrastructure, the roads, and that the company and the country can thrive in a manner such that we can bring in money, do business, and, generate things and make sure that we're able to compete, so to speak, with a good playing ground. Oh no, government now, and over the past couple of years has become a handicap maker. So when you have people with that mindset, they know that they can go get a check. Just like with these ADHD rulings, parents, you got females out here, they're subsidized. They can get a check because the child got an IEP. You get a check if you have another baby. You get a check because you get this, that, and the other. You get a check if you this, that, and the other. And that's why people are wanting to be disabled. They wanting to be trans. They wanting to be all this stuff, because the silly policy bureaucrats, because they know in order to get people to be for being lazy and slothful, which is something that Proverbs teaches us about, a little churning of the hands, what they say, your poverty will overtake you, and this, that, and the other. Yeah, you cannot not work. You supposed to, the fruit of your labors is in your hands, is in your work. That's how God designed it. You supposed to work. And then and the more you apply yourself when you work and you apply the principles of God, you become prosperous. But no, we doing everything backwards, and then that's why you looking now for a government that's going to hand you everything. And then the children, because they have not grown up with any expectations, Some, but too many now have not grown up with any expectations of doing anything beyond being handicapped and being able to steal or go to the government for it, because they think government is baby daddy, which means that us taxpayers are baby daddy. So we got to pay for this stuff. But you all have voted repeatedly and constantly to have a government that subsidizes things that should not be subsidized. So now, to the point people understand that they can go out here and get any kind of disease or say that they're any old thing and get a check. So when you have less people going into being productive and working and paying a portion, I'm not talking about paying taxes on, in case sometimes they go in the store and they don't use food stamps, so they pay with cash and then you get taxed in that manner. Or I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about actual taxes that people pay when they make a substantial amount of money, which is what, despite the rhetoric that these people use, people that make the most money pay the most. And yes, they are also entitled to tax breaks because they have businesses for the most part, so they already paying fees, regulation fees, and all kinds of other stuff to do business and to create jobs for people. So yeah, that's what happens. But you don't understand that. Nobody explains that to you adequately. You don't even think in those terms. You just think, oh, well, X, Y, Z has such and such. These are the people that create the jobs that most people need, because a lot of people are not built for managing themselves. You can't even manage yourself to not do a crime or pull up your pants or to take a bath. So you're going to manage a business? You're going to get up on time to hustle and grind? You don't even want to hustle and grind. Most people cry about having to do something to make money. You want somebody just to give you some money. And that's because that's what they have taught in a lot of schools, a lot of homes, and that's a lot of what has been modeled. You worried about the next person. And instead of finding out, oh, well, let me see what I can learn from them to make money. No, now you want to take people's money or you want to knock them over the head. Covetousness. So we got a whole handicapped population we need to deal with, on top of all the other mess that's been created. But no, nobody want to deal with it. But then you're going to see, if you don't get a handle on it, how trifling. You can run around here, Seattle, Washington is going to look like this area. And some other areas around the country where these people have really done a dangerous, demise-filled job of destroying the economy in their cities and states. But that's for the reason to get to the you will own nothing and be happy, because the government will own it and tell you what you can have and what you can't have. See why it's important to have your own money? Because if you don't have your own money, the government can tell you, oh, well, that's 5 kids, we only giving you $2,000. You got 10 kids, we only giving you $5,000. You need to be out here making your own money. And you need to be managing the decisions you make. If you're not ready for certain things, don't do it. But back to Larry Hogan. So he's not going to support Dan Cox, and I get it. I don't live in Maryland, and I'm like, there's a lot of people I know that are not happy with Westmore. They're not happy with all the fees, the taxes, the gayness that he's pushing, because that's what they do. They push it, the gay trans and all that. You know, you all got special announcements for the trans people. Did the trans people get a heat wave advisory for this week, like they put out last week, about how to be prepared for a storm, specifically for the gay, the LGBTQ MAP? I'm adding the MAP because y'all letting the pedophile go on and be added. So MAP, NAACP, because I see the NAACP is standing with the transgender athletes. The athletes that are not women, that are taking over women's sports and costing women medals and probably scholarship money, and costing women the right to be women because that's their lane. You're going to stand with them. So you're standing against God. That's at the end of the day, people, that's what you're standing against. But a lot of you stand with them. So you go right ahead and stand over there and be happy. Be happy with the fruits of your labor. Be happy. So anyway, Hogan, didn't nobody need you to come out and say a word. So, but what you did was a backhanded endorsement for tax more. And I don't know what the remedy, the remedy for Maryland would be to not have another term of Westmore. Yeah, I said it. This man is pushing word changes like Hogan up there in New York is doing. The fees and regulations. I see now he wants to add is the tax and fees on air conditioning. So how's anything going to be affordable for you if they keep adding on taxes and fees? But they keep talking about affordability. And people don't question what they're saying. But they'll tell you it's because of the federal government or because they do. You absolutely, Maryland, DC and Virginia, you absolutely do need to lose, because you need to make some priorities. Everybody needs to get their priorities together. Paying for people's wants is not a priority. You want your boobies changed and you want to play like you something that you're not, and you want to cut and snip and tuck and all this other stuff. You need to pay for that out your own pocket, or you need to have foundations. They have foundations out here. Don't they have foundations in different groups, charities, if you will? Isn't that what charities are for? All these people out here with all this money and demonic and nasty, fleshly, burning in sicknesses. You can fund this stuff for the people that want that. Tax dollars should not go to that stuff. So no, you shouldn't have access to tax money to do stuff like that with. So if it's being pulled, y'all transferring everything you can, illegals, because you know they want to be here so badly, they'll let you use them or their children as a guinea pig. Low-level, low-minded individuals that don't have nothing else to do, that have been told that they can only be special if they are one of these people that can get money and use that as a way to get money or get ahead of other people. So they do that. And we're paying for it. That's not what you're supposed to pay for. Everybody needs to daggone look at and read, honestly. If you don't want to read the whole Constitution, you need to read the preamble. This stuff is not what government is supposed to be doing. But when you have people, it'd be okay if you had people, because you do, that think this way. That's fine. But you got to have people to push back and to say no. Maryland, DC, and Virginia has no checks and balances. And for Larry Hogan, you should have just sat this out. You don't have to support Dan Cox, but you didn't have to say a daggone thing. Because sometimes when you say something, it has a bad effect. It's ridiculous. This area, and I'm being honest, because I know it is, even though a lot of people are scared to say, it's a lot of people out here that are conservatives. I talk to them. I don't have no problem. You know, I'm conservative. I am now ever. And when I was a Democrat, God forgive me, I don't think it wasn't a decision I made wholeheartedly, honestly. If I look back, I'm like, damn, who would do that? But then it wasn't as jacked up as it is now. It's plain as the eyes can see. On so many levels, spiritual, financial, on so many levels. But we need to have a balance. It needs to be a balance, and there's no balance. This region has no balance. So when there's no balance, we're going to have all this crime. And then you got people that's running, that are in office, have been voted in, low turnout or not, that advocate for crime and no penalties. Because they protected. Ain't nobody coming to get them because they got money to pay for and call on the police. Or to maybe pay for security. They don't live around you. The government don't live around you. The governor, the mayors, and them people. But Larry, shut your mouth. If you don't have nothing constructive to add, If you don't have no solutions or plan of how to balance out or to articulate the foundational principles, honestly, of conservatism and why small government is better than the whole big old bloated government adding fees and regulations on everything, because some things, everything don't need to be regulated. At this point, the only thing we need regulated is the criminals. And some of these people that want to keep doing stuff they ain't got no business doing in the name of funding a nonprofit that's to profit them, not to do anything to help the situations that they claim to be helping. That's what you need to be doing. Because I don't know Dan Cox. I know he ran it last time. I know they were saying that he wasn't electable or this, that, and the other because he didn't win it last time and all that other kind of stuff. But you just ain't need to say nothing. Did you meet with the man to see what you might be able to help him with to become electable? That's what you need to be doing. It don't need to be no more Democratic nothing going on. It's enough in D.C., Maryland, Virginia. It's enough. We need some balance. Sorry, we need some more conservatives. So you need to go somewhere and figure that out. Because you had some people out here that just very well might be viable. Talked to a young man yesterday. He's very viable. Young. Good looking. Good head on his shoulders. Viable. In Maryland. He was like, sure, I don't know, I might need to run. He said, because when I was looking, it had a whole bunch of uncontested. He was like, and I know it's a lot of people. We know it's people because we talk to them. They don't like what's going on. But because we know, just like me, I'm like, I can't run for nothing in D.C. and win. He was like, how do you know that? He asked me that yesterday. So I was like, okay, you're right. A lot of people don't say anything because they scared. They know people y'all talk about, y'all jump on people. Me, I don't care if y'all call me names. I don't care. I've been called worse names. I was called names for 16 and a half years. Repeatedly, nonstop. I don't care. I know who I am. God told me, not you. But I know we don't need to have all this sassy and all this stuff to go against God in law and going on. Because we paying for it. The Bible tells you what our consequences are and everybody ignores it. That's why I know it's something wrong in these churches around here. So Larry Hogan, go somewhere and sit your tail down. If you can't offer no suggestions, solutions, or whatever the case may be, sit down and shut up. Shut up. You need to go somewhere and sit down and shut up. And take Al Sharpton with you.